Starting a travel channel during a global pandemic was not the best timing.
Yeah, particularly when you're already in a foreign country and you have extensive international travel already planned.
Yet somehow in just 1 year, we've amassed a community of 17,000 of you.
And even with the pandemic, you've joined us every week, and in some cases twice a week, as we quarantined on an island in Mexico.
Expanded our family by 4 paws.
Spent 125 straight days camping for free across the U.S.
Shared my first overnight hospital stay.
Trekked through 6 national parks.
And visited 16 U.S. states after spending 5 months in Mexico.
And sharing our life, the good, the bad, and the ugly, week in, week out is awesome, but it's also really hard.
And that left us asking ourselves, where do we go from here?
It's cliche, but if you're new here, we're Howard and Caitlin Newstate. We've been full-time traveling in our Winnebago Navion for almost 3 years with our 3 travel pups, Piper, Ella, and Scout.
And in the last year, we've learned so much about what it means to share our adventures with you. And we want to clear the air right now. We are not quitting YouTube.
But things have definitely changed since we started our channel.
Yeah, real talk. There were definitely times where we wanted to quit. As some of you might know, we both work full-time jobs outside of YouTube. But the more we started growing and learning and connecting with you all, the more we realized this is our passion.
So today's episode will not be one of those YouTube recap videos. Instead, we'll be sharing some lessons learned from our first year, including some never-before-seen footage and a look forward towards our ever-changing plans for 2021.
We're going to share 5 lessons with you today.
Starting with lesson number 1, trusting your guts. Now, what I mean by that is, there are things that we thought were very interesting, but we weren't sure if you were going to like it, and so we chose not to show it.
And I do want to put a little disclaimer up that some of this might not be for everyone, so this is your warning. Some of the stuff that we end up going to is what is considered dark tourism. There's this entire world out there of travelers who seek out this dark and off the beaten path kind of stuff. And we do like experiencing that, not so much for the voyeuristic aspect, but more so for the historical and cultural aspect.
There's a lot of frequent overlap with dark tourism. So, for example, we've been to Chernobyl or a leper colony, or in Guanajuato, we went to the Mummy Museum. The line's about 100 deep right now, but I guess it's worth it. Now, we wanted to include this in our episode of Guanajuato, but as you'll see, it's what some would consider a darker experience.
Yeah, up until the 1950s, the city of Guanajuato required relatives to pay a grave tax when a loved one passed away. And then when they failed to pay for 3 years in a row, the bodies were evicted.
Now, can you imagine the gravedigger's surprise when they exhume the bodies and they're found to be perfectly preserved? I mean, we're talking clothing and hair still intact.
Ugh. And apparently the mummification process happens because of the area's extremely dry soil conditions combined with moderate temperatures.
This is definitely one of the weirdest places we've been to. And we've been to a lot of weird places.
So the exhumed mummified bodies were then stored under the cemetery in an ossuary?
Ossuary?
For safekeeping in case the relatives eventually paid their past due grave taxes.
This turned into a museum and the largest collection of natural mummies in the world. It became a notable part of Guanajuato's history, which is why we wanted to go, and Mexico's overall culture celebrating loved ones who've passed on in the national holiday, the Day of the Dead.
I think we fell into that YouTuber trap where we're making videos that we think you're going to like, but we didn't necessarily agree and we really wanted to do something else. So moving forward, what we're going to do is we're going to show you things that we like because we think you're going to like them too.
Yeah, chances are that you follow us because you have a similar interest in the things that we experience, and maybe you are building out your travel bucket list too. So lesson learned, we're going to do better on that. Check. Lesson number 2, know your limits. Oh my God. Oh my God.
We put ourselves and our RV through a lot this year. What's scraped?
Everything.
Including, I mean, in Moab, it was 9 degrees.
Everything's frozen.
Which is way colder than this RV is supposed to be in.
This might have been a mistake.
We even went through a tropical storm while we were quarantining in Mexico.
We have a leak in the shower.
And in a normal situation, when there's not a national stay-at-home order, as there was in Mexico, or a global pandemic going on, we would have packed up the RV and driven to higher and safer ground.
That's why you live in an RV. You can just pack up and go. You can move your house.
But unfortunately, we had to stay where we were. And so we hunkered down and made the best of a very wet situation.
And don't even get me started on the rough roads.
The spot is beautiful. Not level.
we put our RV absolutely to the test.
We're sorry. We love you.
Whether it was really cold weather or just frankly a road that we absolutely should not have driven a RV through, we did it.
Because we were loving free camping so darn much, we were going to these really epic places, and we would always scout them out first, but there were definitely a couple of situations where, in retrospect, our rig probably wasn't designed for those roads.
How was that? On a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being the worst we've driven through.
Oh.
4?
Once again, I feel like we were doing something because we wanted you to see these amazing places, but we need to learn our own limits, and I think we have.
You also really wanted to continue the streak. Do you guys remember when Howard was so sad that our streak had ended in Kentucky?
Long live the streak.
What's that lesson, my love?
The lesson is keep free camping.
Lesson number 3, there's always room for more love. AKA dogs.
I will admit, I'm the one that needed some persuading. I just didn't feel like it was a good idea when you live in 200 square feet to add a third dog to the mix, particularly one who has never lived inside.
What is happening?
This is Scout's first time on the couch.
Scout, you did it.
And we didn't know if she would actually adapt to road life. I'm really glad that she did, and actually, I will tell you, Scout is unofficially now my favorite dog.
Unofficially. Ella, earmuffs. This is news to me. They do have a special bond, which I think is so funny because I'm like, hey, I'm the one who found you, rescued you, convinced him, pulled ticks out of your ears, everything. And yet they are little buddies, but it is really cute.
I'm a sucker. But I will tell you right now, 3 is our limit. There is unfortunately no more room at the inn. The inn is full.
Never say never.
We'll see. Lesson number 4, this way. Oh, I went backwards.
I've been doing it that way the entire time.
Oh no.
Just do it that way to be consistent and it'll...
This way?
Yeah.
Lesson number 4.
5.
4.
Oh.
That's staying in.
Lesson number 4.5.
No 4.5?
Yeah, I'm about to tell you. To learn how to be less awkward on camera. I don't know if we'll ever learn that. This is us. This is what you get. Okay, continue.
Real talk. Lesson number 4. Life's about balance. Caitlin?
I love to eat. I love to eat dessert. I love to eat pizza. I love to eat cheeseburgers. And I love to show you guys all the amazing local food that we find everywhere we go. But you guys always ask us this, how do we stay so thin? And the truth is...
We don't. You can't tell right now, but our shape has changed a lot. In and out, in and out. And it kind of varies based upon how many meals we have in a given day. And in some cases, like the recent Jacksonville video, we were eating all the time.
Now, I will say a point to that is that we don't eat like that every single day. Again, it's about balance. But I will say that we used to be much better about working out. When we were in quarantine, man, I was crushing it. And then we were working out before I ended up in the hospital because of my dog bite situation. And that was August. And we have not really done much since then. So
we need to get back on the hustle with working out.
Yeah, because if you guys want to keep seeing these amazing places to eat and adding them to your list for when you visit these spots, we're going to have to get our butts in gear. So that's, I think, a lesson and a goal.
Ooh.
So lesson number 2 was knowing your limits, but lesson number 5 is pushing your limits.
Yeah. This should come as no surprise to anybody. But Mexico is not necessarily set up for RV travel, but what it did do is prove to us that we could pull off long-term international RV travel.
And it also showed us just how much we loved immersing ourselves in local culture, local cuisine, the food thing, and just meeting all of these amazing and interesting people.
The bug bit us hard, and that kind of leads us to what's going on with 2021. Do you guys remember in January when we were all jumping up and down excited about Europe? Long-term RV travel in Europe. Well, we're still excited about Europe, but we've gone from enthusiastic to slightly warm.
I would say I'm in an ice bath. Just today we were reading an article about how unlikely European travel is through 2021. So to be realistic with ourselves, we are evaluating all of our options and what plan B, C, and D might be, because we have had to change plans numerous times over 2020 and the beginning of 2021.
Yeah, so it's entirely possible that even if we can overcome the logistical hurdles of getting ourselves and our pets to Europe, we may not be able to travel at all there. So here's a couple of things that we're considering right now. One of which is maybe we go back to Alaska, which Caitlin kind of has a little bit of PTSD because when we did it 2 years ago, we went really, really fast up and back, and it scarred her.
Yeah.
But yet, she said recently...
I know, it's been like, there's something about Alaska that I'm being drawn to right now. I keep seeing all of our pictures over and over again, and we weren't vlogging at that time. We've done a couple of recap videos for you guys, but it is just one of those absolutely epic places. So yeah, I'm feeling kind of drawn. I think I'm ready. I'm ready to do it again.
Another possibility is maybe we'll do a cross-country trip across Canada. So if the borders reopen and we're able to freely travel in Canada, maybe that's what we'll do this summer.
But we want your advice and your input. What are some things that you guys learned from our travels in 2020? And what would you like to see from us coming up in 2021?
Yeah, put them in the comments below. Let's start thinking about it. Let's put our hive mind together and figure out what should the Newstates actually do if we can't go to Europe. We'll be returning to our midweek videos. Thank you to our Patreon community. We hit our goal, and so we will be having twice weekly videos through all of March.
Yes, and if you want to keep it going through April, May, June, help us get to our next goals, we have information in the link below about our Patreon challenge. Next week, we will be back with our weekly vlog. We're going to introduce you to our new friends who may or may not be involved in our upcoming travel plans.
Ooh, that is a tease. It's hard to believe this is our 1-year anniversary of our channel. Thank you all so much. We couldn't have done it without you. And to the 17,000 people who have chosen us as who you watch week in, week out, thank you.
And if you haven't already subscribed, go ahead and click that button. It really helps our channel out, doesn't cost anything, and we really appreciate that support. All right, we'll see you next week, guys.
See ya.